Hey, Ginny Lynch coming to you out on the beautiful trail of life. Excited today for today's topic. We're going to be talking about end of life interviews. And I think as spiritual people, we are connected, right? We channel source, we know about the other side, we know that love lives on and all that. But what do we do here to prepare ourselves for that? And should we be helping other people prepare too? I think the buzzword today is death doula. Sounds a little odd, but the midwife for helping people transition. And I just love that work and I love that idea. So today I'm going to get on and explain what an end-of-life interview is. I'm going to offer it as a gift to you too, so you can share this process and do this process with others. And dive into a really important question, which is why it's so important for the person and also for the family. That's today's topic, so stay watching. Can't wait to share. Bye. Hey, thanks for staying clicked in. Such an important body of work we're talking about today when we're talking about the end of life for people. And so this beautiful process gives you a chance to do an interview, whether you want to do that audio, video, written. It's totally up to you whether you want to ask the questions I'm going to share with you today or you want to ask your own questions. Today, opening up the door to the idea of how important this work is. And I'm giving you just some things to think about so that you can help your loved one. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you know. Maybe you're just like to be prepared, right? It's for everybody because guess what? We are all at one point going to pass. Okay, let me share how this work actually came to be. It'll make a little more sense. So right after Michael's father's mother passed, I met with his father and he had a lot of grief to process. And I recognized when we were doing that work that he was sharing kind of her things that were important to her, how she wanted to be remembered. They talked quite a bit about that and he felt comforted that she died the way she wanted to. She died at home and the family was there, and so a lot of those arrangements he played out for her. So he was talking about how he wanted his end of the life because, as you know, if you've ever lost anybody, it kicks up your own mortality. So it's no different for Howard. So in one of our discussions, I asked him if he would be open to doing an interview with me, an end of life interview, which is what I'm sharing with you today. He loved the idea. So today I'm going to be sharing those questions with you, and I'm going to be sharing some formats that you can do it. And I want to have a deeper discussion about the why. The why is to help them just as much as the family members. So there's this great book I want to share. It's kind of a morbid title, but so much good information is in there. And what I recognize is when you know your loved one is comforted by the fact of where they're going and what their faith is and what they believe in, right? It causes a lot less stress back on the family because they led a good life, right? They were prepared, right? So it just gives the person who's transitioning another level or another format to feel ready. And that's all we're really trying to do when we do this work, okay? I'll tell you 3 different ways that I've done this work, and then we'll get into the questions. Howard, as I mentioned, wanted a full-blown interview. He wanted to be seen. He wanted to be the one saying it on camera, and he did. And we showed that after the funeral, just to his family. And then there was another gentleman, Bill, I did this work with, and he did it all audio. We filmed it 2 years later. He listened to it. He agreed it was all still relevant, everything that was happening. And he wanted it audio shared with his family. And I ended up taking the audio version and doing a picture slideshow with him talking at his funeral. That was the video at the funeral. And then the last person I did this process with, we did it as a journal. We did questions and answers, and it was all written up really nice and mailed out to the people in the family, duplicated. So there are so many different ways to do this work. The important thing is that you do the work. And what is the work? It's asking your loved ones a series of questions that help them organize, define, communicate, express their life. What was important to them, what was challenging for them, how they wanted to be remembered, what their work was like, right? What didn't get said, what they wanted people to know, how they wanted to be remembered. It's really their opportunity to share their truth, and it also help the family. This work helps the person who's passing get to the other side just as much as it helps the family members after the passing. Very important work. So that's my overview today. I am going to click out. I'm going to put up the questions on beautiful slides so you can think about them and go through them with your family member. And please know, you can change any of this. This is just a video I wanted to record so that if people wanted to understand the process or they were thinking about it, let's say you just got a family member who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, right? Now is the time to be doing this work. Or a bad health diagnosis for cancer, right? Help your loved ones, help themselves understand that we're all going to be in this place at one point, but let's get prepared to be there. I love this. Okay. From my heart to yours. Thanks for watching. Hey, thanks for being part of this beautiful interview process for yourself or for someone you love and helping them through. So there's like these little prompts we're going to go through. So the first slide up truly is the whole reason we're here, right? To love. So the first questions that I'm going to ask you is share with whom you loved in your life. Is there someone specifically or special that there's a nice, beautiful story connected to the amount of love that you have for this person? This would be your chance to share that with us now. So that's the first prompt. When it comes to matters of the heart, was there anything that you regret? Is there maybe a romance that went the wrong way, or you wished you had it ended in a different way? Is there any do-overs or regrets in the matters of your heart? That's the next question. Give you some time to think about that. And then the last one is, could you share at least one special story that touched your heart when it came to love? Moving on our questions, know that you can pause this in any way. This is your time to do this process the way you want to. And again, I'm just instructing you and leading you through it. So the next slide, we're going to talk about joy. And I love to set this up for you a little bit better to think to those times in your life where you get doing something and there is no time, right? So someone can tap you on the shoulder and you've been there for 5 hours whittling away, right? So what is something that brings you joy that you get lost in? That's the first question. And then the second question, I want you to share with us 3 different hobbies or interests that you had in your life that you are proficient in. So maybe you could even teach these skills or hobbies to someone else. So have a conversation about what you love to do, right? Those little hobbies. I'll give an example, editing for me. I love doing video editing. Sounds strange, but something like that you can get lost in. So share those 3 with us now. And then the last question on this slide, is there anything that you wanted to learn, but that you never either had the time, the guts, the energy, or the process or position to learn? Share with us what that beautiful activity would have been. So next we're going to talk about partnerships, and we're talking about your coworkers, your family, your best friend. And we want to explore, what is important to you when you're having a relationship with somebody. What are the core characteristics or values that you hold true to yourself that are important to you when you connect to somebody? Share those with us, and we would love you to share them on 3 different ways, right? So we would like to hear how you value your friend, how you would value and what characteristics you appreciate in maybe a boss or a supervisor. And then what are some characteristics that you value pertaining to a relationship that you would have maybe with a family member. So those are the next prompts that we're asking you to think about. And then the last part of this slide is, can you share an experience or a story with someone that you have thought of during this slide that was a really good example of a relationship gone well? Maybe it's with a partnership that you had with a boss or a family member. So we would love for you to share that experience now. Okay, so next we're going to talk about your accomplishments. When you think about the things that you've accomplished in your life, is there maybe 2 or 3 that are notable or worth sharing? We'd like you to share those with us now. And then the second prompt is there something that you wanted to accomplish, but you never got to? You had it on your bucket list, and you maybe have a little bit of regret that you did get it done. Share that with us next. And then the last question on this slide, is there an accomplishment in your life that stands out more than others? So it's the one that when you think about having an accomplished life, this story comes to mind. And will you share the circumstances and the experience of that accomplishment with us now? Okay, thank you. We're moving on to those beautiful memories that you have in your life that you'll never forget and you want others to know happened. So share just a few of those beautiful memories with us. The next question or prompt I have for you is, we want you to go back to your childhood and share your fondest childhood memory that comes to mind when you're asked this question, and share why it mattered so much. And then the last question on this slide about memories is, if you could go back in time and relive, you can't change anything, but you could relive the whole experience all over again, what would that experience be? A do-over. Share that beautiful story with us now. Okay, so the next slide's probably going to be a little darker than the others. So here we go, because we're talking about our fears and our worries. So when I ask you to think about something that was something you worried about in your life, how would you answer that? Is there a common theme to your worries? Share that now. And then the next prompt is there something that you used to be afraid of that you're no longer fearful of? We would like to hear how you overcame that, and maybe even what it was you were afraid of. And then the last question around fear, is there anything that you're still afraid of? And is there anything that anyone around you can maybe help you with those fears? So I'll give you an example. Maybe it's where you are right now in your life, right? Here you are doing this interview. Is there anything that anyone can be assisting you with and helping you get over that fear? Share that with us now. So the next slide, we're moving into beautiful mentors and people who influenced your life. So the first thing is, if you look over your complete life, and I ask you the tough question, who was a major influence in your life? And maybe it's more than one person. That's fine. Share with us who influenced your life in the greatest way, and share with us why. Then the next question is a little bit more specific. Is there a mentor in your life who taught you something? Can you share who that mentor is and what they taught you? And then the last question on this slide is about a possible mentor of you. Did you mentor anybody? And what how were you a mentor to that person? And how did that make you feel? The next thing we're going to get into is a talk or an idea about your soul or your spirit. So I'm asking you to share what ignites your soul. Those times where you're walking and you're in complete awe. Maybe it's religion, science, weather. There's something that just, when we're in this experience and we feel completely in awe, what is something that takes you to that place? Can you share a few or even one of those? That would be great. Okay, last slide. You made it. So please know, as you've looked and experienced this video today for yourself, that again, just prompting you to think about these beautiful aspects of your beautiful life so that you can share it. This process, as I said in the beginning, helps you just as much as your loved one. So I hope you enjoyed this process. So as we wrap up today, thank you for your time. Is there anything that you would like to add? Any questions that you would like to continue into this process? This would be your chance to have that experience and write those down and share those with us now. And I will leave my email, my contact information. If anybody would like help to do this with your loved ones, I'm here to love and support you. It's such an important body of work. And this was just my way of bringing that to you and sharing this experience that has touched my life, and I hope it does the same for you. Okay. Namaste. Hey, thanks for watching. If I can help you in any way, please email me, message me below. I'm here to be of service to you. I certainly do appreciate you belonging to my community. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye now. Namaste.